First day for the black boy coming to the Foster family. Usually having an appetite big enough for a 300-pound frame, he cautiously took only a few vegetables. Not only that, the boy didn't take food to sit on the sofa like them to eat while watching the football game. Instead, he sat quietly by himself at the dining table, not daring to make a single sound. But this scene was seen by Leigh Ann. She turned off the TV and made the whole family sit properly around the dining table to spend Thanksgiving together. The boy was momentarily stunned when he saw the sister Collins reach out her hand and only reacted when the younger brother prompted him. The boy opened his eyes to peek at the family praying, finding it completely unbelievable. This also allowed him to feel a warmth he had never experienced before. But nobody would have expected that this black boy, standing 2 meters tall and looking a bit simple-minded, would later become a highly sought-after world star. And furthermore, this movie is adapted from a true story. The boy is named Michael. He grew up in a poor neighborhood. His father met an unfortunate end, and his mother was a drug addict. When he was 8 years old, his mother was deprived of her custody rights. More than 20 instances of adoption and abandonment left him with an extreme lack of security. Whether interacting with teachers at school or with peers, he was undoubtedly the one who was isolated. Yet, a Michael like this was actually a person with rich inner emotions deep down. This night, the Foster family had a fierce argument because of his situation. Michael was very grateful to the male host for sending him to school, but in order not to affect their lives, Michael still decided to leave secretly. With nowhere to go, he could only spend the night in a laundromat and keep warm in a gym. But after a volleyball match, his proactive behavior of cleaning up trash caught the attention of Leigh Ann's family, which brought a turning point to his originally predictable future. Looking at Michael in his thin clothes, Leigh Ann ultimately couldn't bear it. She told her husband to turn the car right back around and stopped Michael, who was preparing to leave. School gym's closed. Why were you going to the gym? Big Mike, why were you going to the gym? Because it's warm. Do you have any place to stay tonight? Don't you dare lie to me. Faced with such a powerful series of questions, Michael finally told the truth. Michael looked at the luxurious villa in front of him full of surprise, but after entering the house, he stood on the spot very disruptively, waiting for Leigh Ann's arrangements. After she left, Michael finally dared to look at everything cautiously. The next second, Leigh Ann started to feel a bit regretful. She worried whether Michael would steal things and was also afraid that valuable items would be damaged. However, all those worries were superfluous. The next day, only neatly folded bedding was left on the sofa. Michael had cleaned it up very well and hadn't touched anything else. Leigh Ann knew Michael was a good kid, and it just so happened to be Thanksgiving today, and Michael had nowhere else to go, so he was kept to share dinner again. The Shawn family's food was extremely rich, which left Michael a bit at a loss. The sister proactively handed over a plate, but Michael only cautiously scooped a little bit of rice, and while people weren't paying attention, secretly took a small piece of bread because he was afraid of being disliked for eating too much. Everyone took their food to sit in front of the TV, and only Michael properly and strictly went to the dining table. So Leigh Ann turned off all the TVs. Spending a holiday should look like spending a holiday. The family members held hands to pray. Michael couldn't help but open his eyes to peek, feeling unable to believe it. Yesterday he was still wandering the streets, and today he was sitting at a dining table full of delicious food, as if he really had a home of his own. Michael often carried that plastic convenience bag, which contained his only change of shirt. Leigh Ann decided to buy some new clothes for Michael, but was politely declined by Michael. He told Leigh Ann that the place where his mother lived had his clothes for the winter. Following Michael's guidance, Leigh Ann drove to the slum community where the boy was born. For Leigh Ann's safety, Michael made her stay in the car and lock the car doors while he went downstairs alone toward his mother's residence. But just as he reached the door, he discovered that his mother had already been kicked out by the landlord because she couldn't afford the rent. Michael crouched in the corner and was sad for a long time. Unable to resist Leigh Ann's kindness, Michael brought her to a local low-price clothing store. Leigh Ann carefully selected a few shirts of decent quality, while Michael couldn't bear to make Leigh Ann spend too much money. Ultimately, in the corner of the very last row, Michael found his goal, the lowest-priced shirt in the whole store, the one that Leigh Ann didn't even want to look at a second time. The problem of clothes was solved, however. Since they were already considered one family, Leigh Ann couldn't bear to let the 300-pound Michael continue to squeeze on the sofa to sleep. She cleared out that room used for piling miscellaneous items and bought a suitable bed for Michael. And only at this time did Leigh Ann find out that this was actually the first time the 16-year-old black boy owned a bed belonging to himself, which left Leigh Ann's heart unable to calm down for a long time. On Christmas Day, Leigh Ann's family invited Michael to take that extraordinarily meaningful family photo together. In order to help Michael make a good career plan, Leigh Ann went to Michael's homeroom teacher and got a set of career inclination test data. This black young man's spatial relations and learning ability were both ranked at the bottom, while the protective instinct metric far exceeded others. Toward people who cared about him, Michael would spare no effort to implement protection, and this was exactly the basic quality that a tall left tackle football player needed to possess. But the current Michael couldn't participate in training yet. His academic performance was truly too poor. He left exam papers blank and couldn't understand anything in class, which gave the teachers an extreme headache. Fortunately, Michael met a patient and responsible homeroom teacher. Under her careful guidance, Michael's grades gradually improved, and he finally obtained the opportunity to participate in the team's training. But at this time, Lee Ann's family ran into trouble. The son, SJ, uploaded that family photo to the community group. And what followed was the incomprehension of relatives and the cold mockery and hot satire of friends. They even believed that sleeping under the same roof with such a tall black guy posed a certain safety hazard. This sentence directly enraged Lee Ann. Shame on you. Her own inner self could manage to uprightly filter out the criticism, but she was still worried that her daughter would be affected by these rumors and gossip. However, the daughter's attitude was unusually identical to hers, and she even proactively sat next to Michael to read and study with him, using practical actions to directly confront the rumor mongers. In the blink of an eye, Michael was 18 years old. This day he proactively went to find Mrs. Chewy and said he wanted to get a driver's license. Lee Ann subconsciously said, "Why do you need a driver's license when you don't even have a car?" But the next second she realized her words might hurt Michael's self-esteem, so she immediately changed her tone and asked about the reason. Michael said, "Something to carry, with my name on it." Lee Ann understood Michael's thoughts very well, but nothing could be found about this person in the system. This meant Michael had other names, but Michael completely didn't know, and this also gave Lee Ann a bold idea in her mind. She decided to go through the procedures to legally and compliantly formally adopt Michael. But before this, she had to thoroughly understand Michael's past. He won't talk about it. He's like an onion, you have to peel him back a layer at a time. Lee Ann believed that perhaps taking Michael to see a psychologist would allow Michael to speak freely. But Sean knew this was completely useless because what Michael was best at was forgetting. He almost never got angry, nor did he care about what happened in the past. This is an ability unique to people who are often hurt. They use this method to protect themselves, until later they also no longer love to express themselves. Lee Ann came to the relevant agency to investigate, where it only vaguely recorded Michael's chaotic childhood. Michael's biological mother was heavily addicted to drugs and even had over a dozen children, let alone boyfriends and husbands. It was estimated that even she herself couldn't remember clearly. If Lee Ann wanted to adopt Michael, she completely didn't need to get the consent of his biological mother. The government would directly permit it. But Lee Ann didn't do this. She tried every means to find the residence of Michael's mother. "Hi, Miss Allher, you from the state?" "No, my name is Lee Ann Chewy and your son Michael lives with me and my family." After learning that Lee Ann had no malicious intent, Denise let her into the room and also specifically changed into a wig and different clothes. Denise was already as thin as a stick, but she still tried her best to maintain decency. In the past, Michael had been taken away by the government countless times, and other families had adopted him. But every time, no matter where he went, Michael would try every means to return to his mother's side because he knew his mother's health was not good and needed someone to take care of her. To the point where later, no one else was willing to manage Michael. Lee Ann wanted Michael's birth certificate, which would make many things convenient later on, but Denise couldn't answer. "It's all right. We'll figure it out." But raising her head, Denise already couldn't control herself. She couldn't stop sobbing. She had not fulfilled her duties as a mother. "Mrs. Chewy, you'll always be Michael's mama. Would you like to see him?" "No, not this way." After thinking for a long time, Denise finally remembered Michael's surname. She already didn't remember who Michael's father was or what he looked like, and now she could only help out with this bit of minor favor. Before leaving, Lee Ann sat next to Denise and tried to comfort her. After going through many twists and turns, Michael finally possessed his own ID card when he was 18 years old. And right on this day, Lee Ann's family formally issued an invitation to Michael, hoping he would become a part of the family. The boy took a good while before he understood everyone's meaning. "Kind of thought I already was." However, the family also prepared an even bigger surprise for Michael. After taking off the blindfold, the big guy in front of him instantly made this timid boy widen both eyes. The younger brother, SJ, proposed that Michael drive to take him out to buy the new model of the football game. The mother, Lee Ann, exhorted them to pay attention to safety and then agreed. The two were in high spirits, rocking out to music all the way, but just as they were passing through an intersection, an accident occurred. Lee Ann, who rushed over upon hearing the news, saw Michael sitting to one side covering his head with both hands. He was deeply blaming himself for not protecting the younger brother, SJ. Michael indicated that he himself was fine and told Lee Ann to go over and check SJ's injuries. Fortunately, it was just a superficial skin injury. The rescue personnel on the side emphasized that a child sitting in the front row is an extremely dangerous behavior, and the fact that SJ only suffered a superficial skin injury made him directly call it a miracle of life. After learning that SJ was not in great danger, Lee Ann came to Michael's side and kept comforting him. At this time, she saw Michael's severely injured arm. It turned out that he had timely shielded SJ when the airbag deployed, and only because of this was there the miracle of life mentioned by the rescue personnel. Michael's physical talent almost satisfied all the requirements for a top defensive player on a football field, but his performance on the training field made the coach's jaw drop. It was either carrying the opponent while walking or directly grabbing the opponent and then throwing them to the ground. Even the colored balloons occasionally floating across the sky could evoke the infinite childish innocence in Michael's heart. And toward the coach's instructions, it was equivalent to not understanding a single thing. Just when the coach was at his wit's end, Lee Ann pulled Michael to her side and said, "The team is just like your family. When they encounter danger, you have to protect your teammates just like you protect me and protect your younger brother, SJ, keeping the danger outside the door for them." After getting this guidance, Michael seemed to have turned on a cheat code, instantly dominating the entire training field. "Wake up, all, wake up!" This day, Michael ushered in his first official game, but the situation of the game, after the school scored first, once tilted toward the opposite side, faced with the opponent's constantly changing tactics and trash talk harassment. Michael gradually became difficult to cope with, and loopholes appeared in the defense one after another. And right when he fell to the ground, the opponent actually showed no sportsmanship and kicked right at Michael's head. Yet the referee chose to ignore this unsportsmanlike conduct right under his nose. The coach went forward to argue, but due to the opponent's home field advantage, the referee ignored him completely and directly issued a yellow card warning. The coach was instantly infuriated, pulled up the fallen Michael, pointed at the referee, and roared, "This young man plays for my team, and I will defend him like he's my own son." These words directly woke Michael up. He grabbed the coach who was about to receive a red card and said, "Don't worry, coach, I got your back." Both sides' players returned to the field to get into position, and the game continued. Michael was seen grabbing the opponent and constantly pushing forward, and the ball carrier followed closely behind until successfully scoring, while Michael directly pushed the opponent out of the bounds. At this moment, there was only one thought in his heart: protect his family and keep all danger outside the door. Along with Michael's exertion, the team finally achieved a comeback and won the game with a huge advantage, and Michael also became famous overnight. The younger brother, SJ, made the game recording into a disc and sent it to major famous universities. That brilliant scene of turning the tide of the battle left everyone dumbfounded. For a time, major colleges and universities coming to recruit almost broke down the threshold of Lee Ann's house, and the conditions offered were each better than the last. Ultimately, under the advice of family and teachers, Michael chose the alma mater of the Chutwi couple, the University of Mississippi. And right when Michael was about to enter the university, an unexpected event occurred again. People from the Athletic Association told Michael that everything Lee Ann did for him was to achieve her own goals, to transport talent to her own alma mater, and that he was used. Michael seemed to understand something. He interrupted the conversation, left Lee Ann, and returned to his slum community. And right that evening, because a local thug spoke full of foul language when discussing Lee Ann's family with him, Michael became thoroughly enraged and beat him up. At this time, although Michael was bewildered by people with ulterior motives, yet the sense of identification that had already deeply entered his bones made him already treat Lee Ann's family as his closest people in his subconscious. Michael proactively dialed Lee Ann's phone, and after learning that Lee Ann would always respect his choice, Michael returned to the interview room to continue with the unfinished interview from last time. When the other party asked him again why he chose the University of Mississippi, Michael answered full of confidence, "Because it's where my family goes to school." Under the expectations of the family, Michael finally ushered in the first day of university registration. After repeatedly reminding Michael to study hard and not be allowed to pick up girls, Lee Ann returned to the car with a lonely expression and started to wipe away her tears. Seeing this, Michael followed her over. He let his adoptive mother get out of the car and then gave her a big, big hug. With this, the movie ends. When we talk about a homeless black boy ultimately becoming a legendary ball star, we should also notice the Chutwi couple who always maintained their goodness.